for Inside Utah Politics.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Glenn Mills. It is time to go inside Utah politics. As Russia's invasion of Ukraine continues into a second year, Utah leaders are reaffirming their support for the embattled country. Earlier this month, Senate President Stuart Adams leading a delegation to meet with President Zelensky, among other things. I caught up with President Adams earlier this week to get his thoughts on traveling to the war zone. President, great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, great to be with you, Glenn.
First off, let's talk about the purpose of this trade mission. Why did you go over there?
Well, I actually left with 29 other really brave people, and the effort was threefold. One is to actually do humanitarian aid. We had people like August Mission and To Ukraine with Love, giving people food and assistance, and actually building homes for those that had their homes blown up by bombs. And the second reason was...
Real quick before I move on from that, you said that organization has already built 100 homes in the time since the war started?
Yeah, they built 100 homes, and they're headed to 1,000, and all funded by Utah businesses and people who want to give back to Ukraine. I couldn't be more proud to be a Utahn any time in my career as Senate President.
And then what were the other parts of this mission?
And then we wanted to try to, you give people a loaf of bread and they eat it and it's gone. So you give them a home, or you give them some type of substance, and it goes away. So we actually wanted to help with economic developments. We took individuals, business people who know how to do business, people from Silicon Slopes, agricultural businesses, and wanted to partner with them to try to help their economy, to try to help them have enough money to win the war, and also to have some economic development capacity after the war.
You met with President Zelensky, the Ukrainian president. That wasn't on the agenda originally. Talk about how that all came about.
Again, it wasn't on the agenda, but after we started meeting with their government officials, they saw the capacity of Utah. The other element was we had defense contractors there that wanted to help Ukraine win the war. The war is not going to be won just with bullets and tanks, but with smart weapons. They saw the capacity of these Utah business leaders and the Utah delegation, and after they saw that, President Zelensky was actually out of town in Finland, but they said if we actually stayed another day, that he would meet with us, that he wanted to meet with us.
Okay, and you stayed another day, you met with him. What was that experience like?
It was phenomenal. He is exactly what you think he is. The spirit of the Ukrainian people, he typifies that. The same spirit I think we felt during 9/11, that solidarity of wanting to push back against an unwanted invasion.
Okay, you were there. You saw firsthand on the ground of a war zone. You were right in the middle of it, and you saw some troubling things. Yeah, Talk to us about that.
We saw areas that where actually the Russians came in and invaded. They shot men, women, and children in their cars, in their homes. We saw areas where they actually excavated the ground and wanted to hide what they'd done, dump these men, women, and children into these mass graves. They don't even know who some of them are, even after they've tried to excavate the grave.
What was it like? What was going through your mind when you were sitting there looking at those images? I mean, I can't even imagine.
You know, I've read about World War II and the Holocaust and what was going on in Germany. And it concerned me that maybe the world isn't paying attention to what's happening here. It was very concerning for me.
This has also become a political issue. After being there on the ground, what do you say to those who question our support for Ukraine?
Well, I saw, in addition to that, I heard stories about in the occupied areas, tens of thousands of kids who have been told, their parents have been told that they'll lose their parental rights if they don't go to summer camp. These kids go to summer camp and never come back. This is not a political issue, Glenn. It's not a Republican. It's not a Democrat issue. This is an issue of good versus evil. It's probably some of the worst things I can imagine, of having a parent to have your kids taken away from you and asking for help and wanting people to come help you.
Okay, when you met with President Zelensky, he made a few requests of ways that your delegation from Utah can help. Talk about those.
He made 3 requests, and one of them was, I guess they use Ford 50 truck chassis and some of their vehicles. he asked us to help with that.
And oh, by the way, we have a former governor who sits on the board for Ford. So what happened?
And he actually chairs the World Trade Center. So it was really easy. Picked up the phone, and that's been handled. He also asked
John Huntsman Jr., obviously,
John
who
Huntsman
we're talking
Jr.,
about there.
yes. Had a great conversation with him, and he's on it. The other thing they asked for is they need ammunition. They're fighting a war. And our National Guard has relationships with other countries. Ask if we might help them get those ammunitions. And the third thing they asked for is they're going into battle. They're actually going back and trying to fight to take over these lands that they've lost. They need help, and they ask for some air support. And they're trying to find a way to get some air support for their troops.
Okay, so you were there, quite an amazing experience. You're gone now. But how will the impact of this mission continue to move forward, even though you and the rest of the delegation have now come home?
Well, we're already planning a return visit, and we're actually taking the information we got from the meetings, from the businesses, from those we talked to, from those military advisors, and from the president, and we're trying to bring them back and have other businesses and people engage. There's still need for humanitarian effort. Again, tens of millions of dollars have been spent. I will stay there with humanitarian effort, I think, as long as they need us. We're there. We're trying to help. And it goes forward, and we look forward to a great relationship with Ukraine.
Do you believe Ukraine can be successful in this war, ultimately?
Yes, absolutely. The resolve of the people, I've never seen anybody more committed not to be occupied by a foreign power. I've heard them talk about the fact that they will never be occupied by Russia.
President Adams, quite an experience. We appreciate you being here and sharing that with us. Just amazing.
Thank you for your interest.
You bet. Thanks so much. Still to come.